Alright fellas, we need to come up with new ideas for Pokemon Mega Evolution. What do you guys got? How about we give it to Charizard because, you know, he's fucking Charizard. Oh, I know. How about we give Charizard another one? Oh, that is genius. What about you? How about we give it to a Pokemon that's less popular and actually needs it, like FLYGON. Ooh, how about we give Mewtwo 2 Mega Evolutions instead? Now that's what I'm talking about. Oh my god. What is going on, guys? This is Dobbs here, bringing you another Pokemon video. And in this video, I'm going to go over 10 lost Pokemon evolutions. And what I mean by lost evolutions, I'm talking about scrap Pokemon evolutions, evolution theories, and the reasoning behind a few weird Pokemon evolutions. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the video, and without further ado, let's get started. Spinning in at number 10, we have the Fighting Trio. Now, during the development of the Pokemon games, many Pokemon monsters are drawn out and thrown away when drafting the final version of the game. And if you didn't know, there were 39 Pokemon that were scrapped from the original Pokemon games that later became official Pokemon in Gold and Silver. And out of all these scrapped Pokemon, Hitmontop seems to be the most interesting when it comes to Pokemon evolution. You see, if you look closely at the 1997 edition of Microgroup Game Review, you can see that one of the creatures looks very similar to Hitmontop, almost like a pre-evolution to this spinning Pokemon. Now, it could just be a beta design of Hitmontop, but since the Generation 2 games were notorious for introducing baby Pokemon, it really makes you wonder, what if Tyrogue was meant to be only Hitmonchan's pre-evolution and this unnamed creature was for Hitmontop? And before they could even get to Hitmonlee's pre-evolution design, they scrapped the whole idea and gave Tyrogue the evolutionary branch. Because you gotta admit, Tyrogue doesn't really share any resemblance with Hitmonlee or Hitmontop at all, only to Hitmonchan from my perspective. So in a sense, this is a lost evolution because we'll probably never learn the true intentions of this unnamed creature and the 3 fighting Pokemon, which is pretty interesting. Evolving in at number 9, we have Unova Pokemon. Now personally, this is probably one of my favorite Pokemon theories out there, and I'm surprised that not a lot of people are talking about it. On PokemonDB.net, user Melody Melody asked the question, what's the reasoning behind why a lot of Unova Pokemon evolve at high levels? Because there's Pokemon like Mienfoo, Pawniard, Rufflet, Dino, Zweilous, and of course, the notorious Larvesta, who all evolve at considerably high levels. And well, the answer that user Crimson came up with was very clever. You see, as an example, Mienfoo is based off a weasel-type animal, and its natural predator is probably a bird, vis-a-vis a Braviary. And looking at Mienfoo as a Pokemon with combat experience shown by its stance and design, it can probably defend itself to a good extent. Another example would be Volibile, an adolescent chick that's probably high up in a nest on a cliff face or a tree, whose main predator would be another bird that's coming from above. But since adult buzzards aren't small birds and can defend their nests against their predators like Braviary while also having a high defense stat, Volibiles aren't as vulnerable as one would think. So basically where Crimson is getting at, the reason why Unova Pokemon evolve at such a later level is because Unova Pokemon have less predators, thus allowing them to survive much longer and allowing them to evolve at later levels, which to me is a pretty awesome theory. Flying in at number 8, we have Farfetch'd. Now throughout the years, many Pokemon fans have asked Game Freak to give their beloved Farfetch'd an evolution, because at its current state, it's kind of an underwhelming Pokemon with lackluster stats. And what's ironic about this is that back in Pokemon Crystal, Farfetch'd was my second highest level Pokemon, all because I thought it would eventually evolve into a Doduo. Anyways, after researching for a bit, I came across a Bulbapedia article written by George Hutchin, who explains why Farfetch'd will probably never get an evolution. And please, don't roast me too bad for the pronunciation you're about to hear. So we found out that the saying, Kamu ga nagi wo shot kuru, literally means a duck comes bearing green onions. And when the phrase is shortened in Japanese, it is simply worded as Kamunagi, which is written as katakana, which ultimately is Farfetch'd's Japanese name. Now after he broke down Farfetch'd's Japanese name, he discovered that there was a second meaning to the phrase. Rather than a duck comes bearing green onions, it also translates into, along comes a sucker just begging to be parted from his money, which in Japanese can be referred to as kamo, or duck. So basically, in conclusion of George's research, the whole premise of Farfetch as a Pokemon is that it's a joke. A duck holding a piece of onion is just straight up funny, which is why Farfetch's lost evolution will probably forever be in the void, but at least now we can laugh about it. Flying in at number 7, we have Mega FLYGON. Now back in Pokemon X and Y, Mega Evolution changed the way we played Pokemon forever, and with this new mechanic, millions of Pokemon players from around the world hoped that their beloved Pokemon would hopefully get this new powerful form. And among these requested Pokemon, it seemed that Mega FLYGON was among the most popular. Now, according to an interview with Game Freak's Ken Sugimari, Mega FLYGON was actually up for consideration for Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. He stated that he needed to have a Pokemon that could use the moves Fly and Secret Power, and the only Hoenn Pokemon that wasn't used by a key character that fit this criteria was FLYGON. After Sugimari stated this, the interviewer then asked if FLYGON was an exception in terms of the fact that key characters often carried a Pokemon that can Mega Evolve. Sugimari then responded by saying, "FLYGON has had the potential to Mega Evolve since X and Y, but we were unable to complete a design and so it was dropped from consideration." So according to Ken Sugimari, Mega FLYGON was in development but was later dropped because Game Freak couldn't create a fitting design for this highly requested Pokemon, which is really unfortunate and puts Mega FLYGON in the realm of lost evolutions. Decaying in at number 6, we have Aerodactyl. Now we all know in the real world that the Darwin theory suggests that species evolve and adapt to their natural surroundings, and since this is probably what influenced Game Freak to create Pokemon Evolution, one can theorize that Darwinism exists in the Pokemon world. Think about it. Using Aerodactyl as an example, a Pokemon that has been extinct for hundreds of millions of years, one could suggest that Zubat is a present adaptation of this fossilized Pokemon. Because if you look through the similarities between the two Pokemon, the evidence becomes more believable in this interesting theory. For example, just by looking at Zubat and Aerodactyl, they both share a similar design with their color scheme and wingspan. They also both learn similar moves like Bite, Wing Attack, and Supersonic. Not to mention that when Zubat evolves into Crobat, the theory becomes even more compelling. Because if you look at Aerodactyl, it's pretty easy to notice that it has a strong lower jaw. And when you analyze Crobat's 3D model from Pokemon Stadium, you can see that it only has teeth on its lower jaw as well. Also, Crobat and Aerodactyl are both tied in their speed stat, and Aerodactyl's shiny form looks very close to Crobat's color scheme. So if Game Freak intentionally made this connection between Zubat and Aerodactyl, it makes me wonder if Crobat will get a Mega Evolution in the future, since Aerodactyl is the only current fossil Pokemon that has that powerful form. Who knows? Growing in at number 5, we have FLYGON. Now this is really short, but I still think it's a pretty cool lost evolution that not many people know about. Now back in February of 2011, Nintendo Dream Magazine landed a chance to sit down with some of the staff members from Game Freak and got to interview them about some of the inspirations behind a few of the new Unova Pokemon. And out of all the cool little insights that Game Freak told the magazine, it seemed that FLYGON had the most interesting backstory. Originally, this two-stage evolutionary Pokemon had a third stage, a Pokemon that would evolve in between Petilil and FLYGON. But unfortunately, this idea was later dropped and scrapped from the final game. So to me, this begs the question of how many Pokemon have gone through a similar experience. Let me know in the comments on what Pokemon you think have had their evolution scrapped. Glitching in at number 4, we have M. Now, most of us know about the notorious glitch Pokemon MISSINGNO, but as it turns out, there is a similar glitch Pokemon that shares the same sprite known as M. Often called the sister glitch counterpart, M also has a mysterious quality to it. For some odd reason, this glitch Pokemon evolves into Kangaskhan at level 0 and Clefairy at level 128. And as the theory goes, M is actually the leftover data of a scrapped Pokemon that was supposed to be the pre-evolution of Kangaskhan. And after looking at the evidence, this theory becomes even more interesting. You see, glitched Pokemon have a history of misplacing values in the coding, and if you look at M's evolutionary chart, one can theorize that this scrap Pokemon was originally meant to evolve at level 28 instead of 128. And what makes this number so unique is the fact that Cubone evolves into Marowak at level 28 as well. And since Cubone looks very similar to the baby in Kangaskhan's pouch, and that is found in the same location as Kangaskhan, it makes total sense that these two Pokemon were probably connected at one point in time. Because you gotta admit, why would Game Freak make Kangaskhan a Pokemon that hatches out of an egg? It just doesn't really make that much sense. Slithering in at number 3, we have Dunsparce. Now, just like Farfetch, Dunsparce has been a Pokemon that many fans have wondered why it hasn't received an evolution. Because if you look at the origin of this snake Pokemon, it screams that this Pokemon should evolve into something greater. You see, Dunsparce is based off a mythical creature known as the Tushinuku that is spoke about in Japanese folklore. This snake-like legend is said to have the ability to speak human language and has a tendency for lying. Also, it likes to drink. Now, in my opinion, this origin is perfect for Dunsparce's standard form. But if you look at the second origin, you will then question why this Pokemon doesn't evolve. If you look at Dunsparce's back, you will notice that there are tiny wings, making it a feathered serpent. And if you didn't know, in Mesoamerican religions, feathered serpents are often known as supernatural deities that have the ability to ascend to the heavens. So with this epic origin, one would expect that Dunsparce would evolve into a powerful creature. Yet, it has remained as a drunken snake for all of these years. Who knows, maybe one day we'll finally get to see this mythical serpent ascend itself into the heavens, which will be neat to see. Trading in at number 2, we have Shelmet and Karrablast. Now, Shelmet and Karrablast definitely have two of the most unique Pokemon evolutions in the game, but at first glance, something seems to be a bit off. When looking at the two Pokemon and their evolutions, it feels like their evolved form should be switched, since Shelmet started with armor and Karrablast didn't. So in a sense, this evolution seems to be lost unless you know the true backstory behind it. You see, Karrablast is based off the Japanese snail-eating beetle, which is why it's so committed to attacking Shelmet, who of course is a snail Pokemon. And during the trade between the two Pokemon, two references are made that relate to their origins. For the first reference, since Shelmet is Karrablast's prey, Karrablast attacks Shelmet, stealing its armor in the process while Shelmet flees away naked. And as for the second reference, this fight between the two Pokemon is symbolism for jousting because when one jouster gets hit, usually their helmet flies off when they fall off their horse. It's a pretty clever way to show off co-evolution and two real-world references in the Pokemon games, something we haven't really seen since Generation 1 with Slowpoke and Shellder. Shining in at number 1, we have Crystal Onix. Now, during the 87th episode of the Pokemon anime, Ash and his friends meet a sculpture named Mateo, who was on a quest to catch a mythical Onix that was made of glass. And after discovering that this ice-type Onix really existed, it opened the door to new possibilities for different type of Pokemon. It only took Game Freak 16 years to finally make this a reality with Alolan Pokemon in Sun and Moon. But the thing is, they decided not to include the notorious Crystal Onix, the one Pokemon that inspired the whole idea of Alolan Pokemon in the first place. So since this Ice-type Onix was lost during the initial release of Pokemon Sun and Moon, I'm hoping that they'll bring back this inspirational Pokemon as an Alolan form in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Something that would be downright awesome. And there you go, 10 lost Pokemon evolutions. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to leave a like if you did, I appreciate it a ton. And also, if you're enjoying the channel, be sure to subscribe. And if you want to follow me on Twitter for fan interactions, video updates, and other cool stuff, follow me at Ethan Dobbs. Also, I started a Pokemon podcast with 3 other content creators, so be sure to check that out in the description. And for the question of the day, what Pokemon do you think has a lost evolution? Be sure to let me know down below in the comments. I can't wait to see what you guys have in mind. And I'll see y'all next time. See ya.